So rook takes happened, that I can see from a camera view. Rook d5, rook c3, rook a5. I mean, they'll end up having 3 versus 3 on 1 wing. So we can mark this one as the finished game already. Pardon for that, but yeah, no mystery here.
All because of that early
and you can see they've just agreed.
Liam was quite peaceful today.
Are there any outs?
Yeah, I'm trying to recall. None of them played the tiebreak, right? Or, no, wait, he did. He had to play tiebreak against Artemiev.
Yeah, and it was quite tense.
It was quite tense, but then they had a day off, and apparently 1 day off is not enough to fully recover and prepare against Levon Arun. Or it might mean that Liam is not that much afraid to play Arun with the black pieces.
And he's not much afraid to play tiebreak.
Yeah, and he's kind of betting on shorter time control, which is quite possible as well. So Mamigarov Rajabov, anything exciting in this game? Not very much, and I believe, yeah, this will not go for long either. So what should be exciting is...
Shakhriyar is peaceful today as well, and it's a very unusual for him to start with e-pawn. So I should mention that probably e4 was a sign that probably all the piece will be traded off the game quite soon.
Okay.
So I think this game is a candidate for the second
quick result, and not the exciting type of result we are all looking for. Okay, very likely a draw indeed. But we have one more. Krishuk against Dominguez, and I believe those guys, they didn't play all that many moves.
Still respecting the players, we should
take a look at what's happening. And this seems to be well, c3, but c3 is hardly challenging. Yeah, because this line now is widely played.
Yeah, I think also rook e2 was
rook e2. I'm not sure what was the point yet, but rook e2, I believe, was introduced to higher stage by Magnus Carlsen, playing it against Karyakin in World Championship match. And then there have been tries. Well, in this particular line, after rook e8, it doesn't really make a difference, I believe. If you go rook e1 or rook e2. Yeah, and d5 is the critical move. Or there was a try to play bishop f4 in this position recently, like sacrificing the pawn.
Yeah, you're right.
Rook e1, queen e1, bishop d4, and then some like knight c3 or something. There were some sharp games in this line.
McShane against Dominguez in Italian Masters, I think.
That was, and before that there was in some ladies tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that's a sharp line, that's a game.
Yeah.
But c3, the very solid move. Well, obviously not that ambitious.
Queen e8, yeah, it doesn't seem that white is really like
well,
trying
maybe
to
these guys are respecting each other as much, and they're going just to decide who is stronger in the shorter time control.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, but let's not forget we have one more game, which is Krishuk against Dominguez, and
it has to be exciting.
I suspect that, what's that, like 1 hour into the first game, not more than 10 moves is played. Or I might be wrong though.
And against
I know that many more than 10 moves.
Catalan starting from a ready setup. Ready order of moves. Bishop e7, c4, castle, and then d4. So the point of this order of moves is to avoid this bishop b4, bishop e7 lines.
Yeah.
So queen c2, a6, a4, bishop d7, and queen takes c4.
Very. That's a classical line. Yeah, queen takes c4.
The other line that Grishuk has played was bishop g5, also played by Boris Gelfand. So bishop c6, rook d1. I think Alexander had the game against Michael Adams after, I think, knight d7. Well, if I'm not mistaken. So let's say knight d2, h6, bishop takes, knight takes, and after knight c4, after knight bishop e4, Grishuk has played queen c1 there, while Boris has improved his game slightly, playing queen b3. So obviously Dominguez had to be prepared against it. But then queen c4 is another line, a very popular. Well, it had to be very popular, but now I think not many strong players are falling.
Yeah, somehow they don't reach this position, but the reason for that might be that, first of all, Black plays a lot of bishop before check, and yeah, that's one thing, and then after queen c2 on move 7 in our game, there is this move b5, which is, well, there are various moves, but b5 is one of the...
I think also b6.
Yeah, the b6 was played in the candidates last year, and b5 was played, once again, if you're referring to this Grand Prix Moscow, that was kind of a position of a tournament, because Nakamura played it twice, I believe someone else has played it, and Grishuk, yeah, had a very nice strategic win against Nakamura in this line. So Linier decides to follow the footsteps of the classics by going for the bishop d7. Yeah, and the current position on the board, let me be honest, it does not give you such a big optimism on White's side of the position. I'm not sure if... well, actually, can we just for a second stop in this moment before rook d1, because that's a very important position. White can try to play knight e5 and swap the light square bishop, not to... Yeah, later on we are going for e4, right? So bishop g2, king g2. Not allowing the thing that happened in the game, that Black takes on f3 and achieves the opposite colors. So takes, I mean, I'm not sure that this is a better option, but that's certainly something to consider. And I believe, well, if not precisely in this position, but this idea was played, it was revealed, I believe, but Gelfand played once again.
I think bishop d5.
So still, you're not taking on g2 immediately, and then I probably can try to insist, right? Because those Carlsbad structure, once again, if we can think of knight d5, e d5, queen b3, and one might say, yeah, White is well, having a knight on e5, but yeah, there is nothing
strategically just in favor of Black.
Nothing much, yeah, and you're absolutely right with bishop on g2, those cards, but they're, well...
Yeah, so but I just want to expand a bit more. After bishop d5 to the queen d3, my idea was quite forcing. I mean, to take on g2 and then play c5.
King g2 and to play c5. And even in such positions, you take on c5 and those little endgames, yeah, takes... well, I don't like to take on d8 myself, right? So maybe rook f d1. The point being, let's say, some position with queens traded and a pair of knights traded, and then White having the knight versus the dark square bishop. It's never too much for White, okay? But sometimes, especially if combined with White having control over one of the open files, sometimes White can try to play for this minimalistic approach. However, it didn't happen, so rook f d1 was a choice of Alexander Grishuk, and we have what we have. At some point, Black decides, yeah, this bishop, it's a bit annoying, yeah? So he takes on f3, gets rid of his light square bishop, plays c6, and seemingly has little to worry about.
We've got a lot of matches.
Also, we have to mention that we've got another game finished.
Yeah, yeah, no surprise there. So, well, out of 8 games,
it didn't take long after the moment that we've predicted it.
Yeah. So we've started with 8 games, and after a bit more than an hour, we have reduced. We went down to 6. Not bad, not bad.
That's a good thing for the people who are. So well, for the commentators, obviously that's a nice thing to focus a bit deeply on the less number of games, obviously.
Yeah.
So I've been quite curious about how you managed to keep your focus on 64 games.
We didn't manage. Yeah. Let's agree. Like round 1, it had to be done differently. We had to. Yeah, I believe we should have, picked like featured matchups, like 5 games, 6 games, and then stay with those, because our attempt to jump from game to game, it just didn't really work. Anyhow, now we have 6 games and we can follow their development, we can feel the flow of the games. So, what do we think of this position?
So first of all, Grishuk has 15 more minutes than the Paris Linear. It means that, well, that's a bit...
That's an unusual situation.
Yeah, that's a very unusual situation for Alex, who usually takes his time and spends it quite a lot. But, well, obviously this position... So I'm still surprised with 15 minutes spent by Grishuk to receive this position, because I have no doubts that he still has like 5 or just few more next moves on his mind. So, well, it's a typical, a very typical boss flush in Catalan. Well, Black has no base minor pieces, yeah, no weaknesses, they have just a good normal pawn structure, and that's another sit and wait game, because White has a very unclear and a bit risky plan with pushing the pawns on the king side.
Yeah, like also G4, H4, well, sometimes happens indeed, yeah. But that's...
because usually E4 is not that dangerous, and probably it would create even some weaknesses for White to play E4 and then weaken this D4 pawn. And obviously White should counsel some queen trades after queen B4, and well, it was smart by Dominguez not to play A6, A5. He still keeps some ideas connected with simplifying the stuff after C6, C5. So I think Dominguez has done everything correct in the opening, and well, he equalized, and
yeah, but it's like the position is equal, but not the right yet. And now, like, giving it a second thought, I'm thinking that if White ever gets to play B4 and B5, that might be an unpleasant version of this minority attack, yeah?
And I think that his idea is to transfer the knight to D3 and to, well, at least to create a threat of playing B2, B4.
Yeah, well, actually, that's a fair point. It's just that you have to think of Black's possible activity in the center. I'm thinking after knight E2, can it be... Oh, well, it's black to move at first place.
Okay, let's say rook d7 or somewhat very...
Yeah, rook d7, rook d8 is like sit and wait, and there is also e5 that you have to consider. I mean, it's not an ideal move, and then maybe we have to explain why.
But at least after knight e2,
after knight e2, yeah, you do consider e5.
So, I'm going to watch, because the good players
you do consider e5 because it stops knight f4, and usually those structures, if you take on e5...
Well, just queen
takes, those are usually fine for Black. Yeah?
And then Sol was like, oh wow, I was playing
D4 probably.
Who knows, but again, B4 is an option, B4, B5, trying to create some weakness over there. Now that E5 and D5 happen, I would actually prefer to have the pawn on A5 with Black. So, it's not such a simple game. Yeah?
Well, so it's still Black to move, and
anyone knows how to play. Well, it's so hard. Yeah. I started practicing
there is no necessity to hurry in this position for linear. Obviously, he will consider some rook d7, W or d file, connected with obviously c6, c5 plans.
Yeah,
or at least a preventative move order to keep his threats connected with e5 as well, and well, it's easier to say that Black is fine than to create at least a single idea for Black.
Yeah,
sorry, for Black, yeah.
I mean, for neither side, to be honest, yeah. For neither side, to be honest. And now that I'm thinking, yeah, well, active ideas for Black might actually lead to the position where White has something to say. Right. So let's move on all the way back to board 1, board 2, just to see how this develops.
Yeah, we can just do it in the same order. So we've started with, I think, with
Duda and Xiong, yeah, that was our starting point.
Yeah.
Well, whatever, we can... and here, that's the least developed game so far, on the 11 moves, and after castles G6 was played, to my surprise, and not E5.
And knowing what cards scale better into the late game is, I think, one of the most absolutely crucial cards.
G6.
So if you're just throwing down monsters here, is this good? This gets you more tempo early on.
Yes, which is nothing, okay, I mean, fair move. Nothing wrong with that.
Knight
White's
A4.
reply, however, was a bit surprising. Knight A4.
Also, G6 felt a bit provocative for Duda, and he wanted just to...
Yeah. But what's with this Knight A4? What happens if Black plays B6?
The former champ.
That's a good question.
Even past turn 7.
More jumping with the
To do
knight.
hero power.
Ah, look, there is, for instance, like Knight G5.
And again. And I was like,
I'm not claiming that this is a good move. It's just that the natural bishop b7 might be a mistake, because Knight c5 followed by Queen b3 attacking f7, b7. I mean, this kind of thing. Like, yeah, for instance, Knight g5. Yeah, I don't believe in this move, to be honest, but just like as an illustration.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Queen b3, and it probably works, because
But if bishop d7...
but if bishop d7, the feeling is like all those knights will go
and I
back.
just didn't
Yeah?
even think about it.
Maybe it's still not terrible.
Well, I was trying to justify this Knight A4, Knight A4, probably D4, maybe...
Yeah, but my problem was that after d4, c d4,
Yeah, and then bishop f4. That's what I've been thinking about. Well, maybe I'm just talking nonsense. Let's
No,
say
no,
knight
no,
e6.
you-
Knight e6, then
you're
some
probably
knight
right.
e5 or knight...
Yeah, you're probably right.
So,
Okay.
Well, so
Okay.
follow up with rook c1.
Yeah, no, this does look promising. So, after knight a4, black had to make, well, which looks to be a somewhat awkward move, knight to e6, d3,
well, the rest
knight c to d4,
so many lackeys.
bishop e3, bishop g7,
With a taunt in play.
rook to c1, and Jeffrey decided to castle short.
Well, it feels like black is a bit stuck.
Yeah, well, he's not on time to play b6, right? I mean, that's the comfortable way to defend the c5
He wasn't hurry enough to develop all of his pieces, and well, now white has just a very direct threat of taking on c5 while black is not even castled.
Yeah, so that's what he does. He castles short. White has taken on c5. So black still has option. I mean, it's not that black has lost a pawn. Yeah, black still can say. I know. Well, he actually didn't do this.
Knight f.